So, this video is going to be very, very exciting for you guys, but as well as for me, because I'm going to be sharing the entire system that I use and implement for my clients to help them book dozens and dozens of meetings on their calendar every single month. So, without further ado, I'm not going to take any more of your time. We're going to hop straight into the video, and I'll see you guys there. So, how you can book over 60 meetings every month, guaranteed. I'm going to be revealing how I take my clients through the step-by-step process to scale their agencies and double their monthly meetings. I'm going to be sharing everything on this one, so buckle in because we're going to be going in for a long ride. So let's dive straight in. So who am I? You're probably wondering who this guy is. Why is he talking about meetings? What type of experience does he have? Well, I started out as a setter myself for multiple offers, pretty much every offer under the sun, whether that's lawyers, chiropractors, other agencies, coaches, loan officers, you name it, I have probably worked within that niche, unless it's some weird niche, but I've even worked with music producers and set for them as well. So I found that there's multiple factors when it comes to handling inbound as well as outbound leads. And so I've developed an agency where we help just do that. And so enough about that though. Let's talk about what I do. So the steps you need to take to do this. The first step is really refining that offer that you have to make sure that it sells in the market that you're selling. So most people are selling something that they think the market wants, not what they actually want. And they send out multiple DMs and they get no's every single time. And they're wondering why they aren't getting a positive response. It's kind of like you going in and selling to gyms Facebook advertising and just saying, hey, I'll do your Facebook advertising for you. It's not going to work because there's been so many people that have hit them up that way that you need to find a new way to position your offer, make it new, whatever. To take that one step further, agencies, instead of selling the service that the market really needs, they base their product on what they think the market would want if they were in the prospect's shoes. This is the last thing you want to be doing because it leads to a lot of headaches in the client acquisition and forces you to charge a lot of low prices for your service, and you have to lowball like crazy to get clients. Think about it. If I was selling you a bottle of water that you want, but you're already hydrated, you drank a lot of water, you've already had a gallon of water throughout the day, I can't really charge much because it becomes unreasonable for you. So if I was trying to charge you $10 for this water bottle, you wouldn't want to buy it because there's just no need in the market. You don't have the need for the water bottle. But if you were in the desert for 2 days without any water at all, and you see me selling water bottles, and you have a ton of money on your hands, and you need this water badly, you're willing to pay whatever I want for this water, even if it was unreasonable beforehand. So I could charge you 20, 30, 40 bucks just for one water bottle because you're so hydrated and you need this water so bad that you're willing to pay that much money for it. And that's what you want to do with your offer. The value perceived by the prospect depends on their needs and wants. And the goal is to find the needs and the wants of the majority of the market and cater your services towards them. There is going to be a minority of people that don't have those same exact needs and wants, but you don't want to cater your services towards them because you're narrowing down your field of prospects that you can reach out to. You want to reach out to as many prospects as possible, so you want to have the widest base possible. Now you may be asking, how can I find what my audience really needs? The good thing is that there's multiple ways of doing so. So the first way is leveraging Facebook groups that most people already do and taking a look at what is most talked about within those groups. So going in, searching up in the group, I need help, and seeing what the people need help with. For example, let me pull it up real quick. If we were to go in this group, client acquisition. Negotiating a deal, so sales. I need help with outreach, getting my offer. And so you want to go through this and see what the people are having the most problems with. So that's one of the ways you can do so. The next way is looking up big YouTubers in the space and checking out their most popular videos to get a sense of what people are looking for. So one of the best examples is, let's just go to Jeremy. Yeah. So you would go to his YouTube channel, you would go to his videos, and you would check his most popular videos. So building rapport, cold calling, and probing questions are the most popular videos. But this one is his most popular video, and it's very recent. You want to look at less than 1 year ago. So this is probably what you're going to want to take a look at and see at what he's talking about. Another example could be maybe this one, how to get any prospect to open up. So just finding those videos with the people that are big in your space and finding what they're talking about that gets the most views is one of the second way you can do so. And then just finally asking people directly if you have connections built up. So for example, if you have a dad that's a chiropractor, or you have some friends that have dads as chiropractors or whatever, you can go ask those chiropractors what their problems are and what they need to focus on in a very slight way, so that they don't kind of feel put off by what you're asking them and everything. So doing that will help you really find what you need, and this is probably the best way to do so, but not as many people have access to it. So doing the other two is a good way of doing it as well. Leveraging these resources is a cheat code to find what your audience really needs. So do not be lazy about this. This is probably the most important step of the process. So once you have it figured out, cater your service to whatever they need. Because if you're going to be building out the acquisition system and you start sending out DMs, if your offer isn't refined, even if your DM scripts and your DM system is down to the point, your offer will be the weakest link within the chain. And with that being the weakest link, the chain will snap and you will not be able to book any meetings. So get that down and then move on to step 2. Step 2 is getting your offer out there with cold DMs. So this was going to be a video about social media. There's going to be a couple other videos about email and other ways of doing so, but this is just primarily cold DMs, so that's what we're going to cater this towards. One of the things you're going to need is you're going to need the channel, the message flow, the offer positioning, etc. All that figured out before you go selling in the DMs. You can't just write up a script and hope for it to sell, because unfortunately you need to have a system to doing this now. For example, let's say you're trying to push an offer that helps chiropractors get more leads. It's not the best of your use of your time going to look for them on Instagram, because not a lot of them are on Instagram yet. Of course, there are going to be some chiropractors, but the majority of them are still stuck using Facebook and other sources like LinkedIn and maybe even email only. So why would you choose an inferior lead source? The same goes with the message flow. If you're using a message that makes sense for agency owners, but you're targeting chiropractors, your outbound campaign will never get any traction. So your language and the grammar and the words that you use within the message that you're sending to agency owners will look different than the message you're going to be sending to loan officers or lawyers. You want to seem more professional within the messages you're sending to the loan officers and lawyers, and you can be a little bit more laid back and friendly with the agency owners. So if you have this one strict way of sending out DMs, it's not going to cater to any of those audiences, and you're not going to be successful in any agency you start. So, in order to figure these things out, you're going to have to, again, research your market. More research? Yes. That's what you need to do. Now, once you have that channel figured out, how do you go about creating the message flow? Simple. It's create your own script, and copying somebody else's messaging script while they're finding that in a course or finding that in a group is not going to help you in any way. In fact, it may even negatively affect your business because people are going to be able to see that you're using the same script that other people use, and they're actually going to be repelled from that. So there is a framework that you can use, and so it's not a script that I'm going to give you, because you have to actually critically think. You can't just be copying other people's scripts and hope that's going to work for you. We're trying to teach you how to think, not how to copy. So for the first message, this is the most important because the message really needs to capture the prospect's attention quickly. So the direct message framework goes as follows. You create that hook that captures their attention and gets them to open the message and read it entirely. So for example, something like I used to use in the past, hey, so the FBI is onto me, or something like that, to make it seem, just make them open up the message and read through. And then actually position your offer as something that they need and how it will be valuable for them to hear out. So once you get through that hook, you need to keep intriguing them when you're going through your offer, but you want to actually make it seem valuable for them as well. And then you insert your CTA to minimize their risk of booking a call. For example, one of the main ways I used to do this is, if you don't find this valuable, I'll give you $150 for wasting your time. It was one of the best ways I did so, and it helped me book tons and tons of meetings when I was setting in the cold DMs. So there are many other things you can go. There are many other things that go into making this successful. The way you carry on the conversation after that is totally dependent on your specific niche. So it may be shorter for some niches, it may be longer. You may want to build more rapport, you may want to build less rapport with the people because they don't need it as much. It is entirely dependent on your niche that you're working in. So one way to be more direct, one niche may be more direct, the other less, but the key to responding to all messages from them is another 3-step format. You first acknowledge what they said, so they feel like they're actually talking to a real person. So if they said that they're talking about something like they went on a trip over to Hawaii or whatever reason they got into that conversation, you would then acknowledge and say like, hey, Hawaii's pretty sick, man. You had a good time there? So you would acknowledge that, and then you would give your own input, whether that is your experience, a client, whatever. So I actually am looking to go to Hawaii at some point. It seems pretty good. And then you ask a question to keep the prospect going down the straight line and keep them engaged. So whatever question you're in the process in, whether that's what are you using to generate leads, whatever. The first two aren't as important. You can switch them in and out interchangeably, but if you don't end it with a question, your results are going to be terrible because it really leaves the conversation on a cliffhanger, and the person isn't inclined to responding because there's no question, there is no need for them to respond. So there's not really a point for them to respond to you and your message. So they won't feel like they're talking to a real person if you don't use this framework. Rather, they'll feel like they're talking to a bot. So you don't want to be seen as that because people hate bots when they're talking to them. So depending on your offer, if you work with a really niche prospect, going hard into qualifying is going to be key here. Asking questions to figure out where your prospect is at, where they want to actually go within their business, and what they're trying to do to get there at the moment. Kind of like what you do on a sales call, but just saving you all the time spent with tire kickers, so you will only hop on with calls with killers and people who are ready to buy. That's one of the things that I found many people struggle with, is that they just let anybody hop on the meeting because they just want to close them, and they want to have that dopamine hit of booking a meeting, and they just want to have the dopamine and everything like that, but then they don't close them, and then they feel sad about it, and they just, the next day they don't come and they don't perform, and then the next day it's just a negative rabbit hole. So you really want to be booking people who are actually interested in buying from you and aren't just tire kickers and going to be wasting your time. So another thing that you need to do is you need to find the pain of the prospect. Oh my gosh, so many people do not try and find the pain of the prospect and just propose them the meeting, that it just negatively affects their chances of booking a meeting. They may hop on a meeting with you, but without a real pain, they're either not going to show up, or they're just going to be tire kickers, like I said before. So digging into that pain, so that you find the most important thing to them, and once you find that what they're struggling with, you have to dig deep into it and make sure that they feel that pain. The best example I can give, it's a little morbid, but stick with me here, is let's say you stab somebody with a knife. They feel the pain, they acknowledge it, but obviously over a little bit of time, it subsides because the numbness starts to go, the body starts to go numb and they don't feel it as much. Obviously it still hurts, but the pain subsides a little bit. So what you want to do is basically you want to take that knife as you going into their pain, and you want to twist it over and over and over again, creating more and more pain until it's unbearable. It's a gruesome analogy, but it works best with what I'm talking about. You want to take that pain that they gave you, that they told you about, and ask more and more questions as to why they're experiencing it, what they have done to try and fix it, and why their attempt of fixing it hasn't worked yet. And once you find that pain and you dig deep into it, the only way for them to get out of that pain is by booking a meeting with you and you closing them on that call. So I guarantee you they will open up like crazy, and as soon as the wound is wide open enough, you capitalize, you pitch the call, and they will book within minutes, and they will almost always show up, unless they die, of course. So this is what's going to increase your show up rates like crazy. I see all the time people barely scratching the surface, pitching the call, and then booking it, and then questioning why the person didn't show up and wondering, what did I do wrong? When the thing you did wrong is that you didn't dig deep into their pain and created a reason as to why they should hop on the call with you. So too many people experience this exact same problem. So if you want to book a ton of calls and actually have them excited to talk to you, you have to implement this. It's simple as that. Because it's the only way to do so. Without having them, will have to watch countless hours of content for them to be warmed up to you. So this basically emulates what content does, but it is a little harder to execute. But if you don't want to spend all your time doing so, you need to learn the skill. The final thing you need to implement into your DM process, though, is a crazy follow-up sequence. So many people don't follow up, and even though so many people stress it, it's crazy the amount of people that don't follow up. And it's about 95% of business owners only follow up once. You need to follow up more. Ideally, the goal should be about 7 to 10 follow-ups per prospect to make sure that they at least respond yes or no, so that you get an immediate answer. And 7 to 10 messages either has them block you or actually message you that they're not interested or that they are interested. So now, if you don't want to have the hassle of creating these follow-up systems and following through with them, you have to outsource it as soon as possible, because that shit becomes a big pain once you start doing it. It's crazy what it becomes. So now on to the final step of the acquisition system, is the automation. So the final step is the most important, and it's what takes you from 5K to 50K or wherever you're at and beyond, because automating it, you're automating your outbound processes. And once you automate that, you're able to focus on your delivery and your sales, which then when you automate that, it basically becomes easy scale from there. So now that is a buzzword that a lot of people throw around these days, automation. Essentially what this means is you either install a setter, a VA, SDR, whatever, or you install an AI system to do the outreach for yourself. So it takes away from you having to work in the business on the business, as they like to say. And this is where the real growth happens. You're able to focus on client results, which helps you get more clients, and it's an endless flywheel that helps you keep exponentially growing your business from there. Now, installing any age-old setter isn't going to cut it though. You need to install a killer when it comes to setting, because this is the most important thing after sales. It's basically an extension of sales, but you're doing it in the DMs. So you have to have a killer doing this. You have to have somebody that knows a lot about psychology and has some setting experience to actually kill it within the space. So the more skilled your setter is, the higher your business will cap out. In terms of the automation with AI, that's a whole different story. As of right now, AI kind of sucks to carry out a whole entire conversation. I was in the DMs with this guy, and it was obviously apparent that he was having an AI do all the outreach, and I was asking questions, trying to answer, see if he could answer my questions, and it just kept going down the script, even though I wasn't saying yes or no to the actual DM. And so you can easily tell that it's an AI. So as of right now, it's not really optimal to be using AI to send out an entire message and get them to book call, but sending out the first message with AI is something that you can definitely try and do. With these 3 steps in place, you'll be guaranteed to scale, and you will start booking more meetings. So now, how should you go about executing this? This is the biggest problem I see with people in the space, businesses in the space, is people just don't execute on what they've learned. Because let's face it, there's so much that goes into play on here that I couldn't even cover it all. And that if you were to do it yourself, you'd have to go through countless months of trial and error to see what actually would work within your niche. Now, if you want to skip those months of waiting for results, what you can do is actually allow us to install this system for you, so you can start booking meetings on autopilot. There will be no extra work on your end, and all you have to do is sit back and relax and watch as your calendar is filled up to the brim. And instead of having a meetings problem, you have a time problem. So if you want to have that latter problem, DM me on Instagram or whatever platform you see me on, and let me know that you've watched this video and you've seen this doc, and let me know that you're interested in seeing how the system could be implemented. We help our clients within 42 days book over 20 meetings within those 42 days, or your complete money back without any use of ads, with installing this exact system like I said. So if that sounds good, I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace.